excited to do a demo for you using the Deck of Many Dungeons to create a dungeon, do a dungeon crawl. We've got a halfling, we have a rogue, we have a boss monster, some treasure, and a mysterious NPC in the Microlight 20 system, and let's get going. All right, so before we go into our dungeon, I will just review with you a couple of procedural items in terms of what my characters are and a little bit about Microlight 20. This is a D20 based system where you are needing to roll above a difficulty class. This is my little GM guide cheat sheet that I made for myself. It's a very simple system where you have a character with 3 attributes: strength, dexterity, and mind, and then you get the bonus, the related bonus to it. And there are 4 skills: physical, subterfuge, knowledge, and communication. And everything you do in the game is going to be based on some combination of an attribute and a skill, if relevant, and you're rolling the d20, you're adding your modifiers, and you're attempting to roll better than whatever the DC that's assigned is. For melee, we're rolling strength plus a level, ranged is dexterity plus the level, and magic is mind plus the level. One character, our rogue, has a special ability, which is he's got his throwing axe, which he can use as ranged, but if he uses it as melee, he gets to use dexterity bonus instead. We are also bringing with us, of course, a fighter. It's a dwarven fighter who gets +5 bonus to his strength, and he's carrying a great axe, which does 1d10 damage. He also gets +1 to all attack and damage rolls because he is a fighter. And finally, we have our magical character. We have a gnome illusionist, and the way magic works in this game is it costs a temporary HP cost to cast a spell. So there is a DC for casting the spell, and then if you do cast it, I've only got the level 0 and level 1 cost here because we are level 1 characters. I didn't say that before. So we're only going to have access to these 2. So for example, if our gnome illusionist successfully casts a level 1 spell, it's going to cost him 3 HP, and he's only got 6 HP. And that cost is for an 8-hour time period. Now, we're doing a dungeon crawl here, so I'm not really sure. I don't have a time measurement. I have to think about how that's going to work. I noted on the back of his card some spells that he has access to. He has access to the illusionist types of spells. These aren't all of them, but these are the ones that I thought we might possibly need. So for level 0, he can make an arcane mark, which is inscribing some kind of personal rune. He can detect an illusion, and he can also make a ghost sound for 1 round. For level 1, he can charm a person. He can incapacitate creatures in a 15-foot cone. He can disguise himself. He can do hypnotism, which will fascinate 2d4 HD of creatures for 2d4 rounds. He can make a silent image, which is creating a minor illusion, and he can do ventriloquism, throwing his voice for 1 minute. So those are my 3 characters. As I said in the intro, the dungeon here in that little clip, I made it a 10-room dungeon, but actually I am shortening it because I want to try to get through the whole dungeon in this video. So it's actually a 7-room dungeon in here, and it has the entrance, it has the rooms, and then toward the end of the room is building up to greater difficulty rooms, and then we have the final room, which is the king card. The final thing we're going to do is we are going to roll on this random quest generator. Now, as part of that, we have to kill an evil NPC. And one of the obstacles are going to be many locked doors. So we'll work that in narratively to the dungeon as we go through it to try to uncover the NPC and discover them. And let's see who the NPC is going to be. I think there is an NPC here. So let's see who this NPC is. And that's going to be Sela, who is a smith, and they're going to be carrying some kind of an item. Well, it says we have to kill them. They're going to be carrying a golden orb, and we will need to find them behind some locked door or something like that. All right, I think we're ready to go into the dungeon here, and we're just going to see how it goes. I haven't really, I'm going to roll for wandering monsters in some capacity, I think, before every action or every set of actions that my party takes. So the movement, I'm going to say that we have a D6 movement. I'm going to sort of roll for movement for the party, I think. I don't know. This is a little bit on the fly. The point is, we're going to get going here. And I know that this is an entrance card. And actually, it does give us quest ideas here, but we already know that we are in search of this person with the golden orb. And that's going to be, this is, as I said, it's going to be a 7-room dungeon that is here, and we know they're going to be in the last room because that's the way I chose to build the dungeon. We will be representing our characters here with these tokens. The white tokens will be any enemies that come in. They don't quite exactly fit. I think for actions, possibly for my party, I will just randomly choose 1, 2, 3, numbering my characters, which I haven't yet done. I don't know that I'm actually going to do that, and this is going to indicate where the party is. As I said, this is being developed a little bit along the way. So the Dwarven Fighter will be 1, the Rogue will be 2, and our Gnome Illusionist will be 3, if that becomes necessary. And I also have a D3, I suppose I could roll as well to get that value. In any case, we will set out, and I'm going to experiment, as I said, with movement rules and wandering monster rolls. So what I'm going to do here is move as a group 1, 2, 3. We're trying to go through any of these doors. We'll just go to this door to see, and I think we'll say every 5 movements, every 5 actions, we need to roll for a wandering monster to see if we've made noise. I don't know. We can now get to the door, and we need to test to see if the door is locked. I'm going to be using some things from my solo RPG wallet, and the wallet contents are discussed in a video. They're discussed in the solo GM guide as well. I'm going to pull in, I have a D20. Okay. Can you stick with a D20? Is this door locked? And whoops, the answer is yep, it's locked. So we're going to need to pick the lock here. And we can pick the lock. Our our rogue here has some thieves tools, and I think we'll be picking the lock using subterfuge and dexterity. Now, so my subterfuge is 3. I got a +6 on that roll. And for the DC class for that, we're going to say it's going to be, 15 is our default here. This is the rogue rolling blue. So we're going to get a modifier to this of 6. We got a meet of 15. Great. Easy start. We open the lock. We exit. We could potentially exit the entrance. I say potentially. We haven't searched the room yet. And let's have somebody search the room. Well, here's the deal. This isn't really an empty room. So the only thing we really could search is what what the door looks like. So for this, I'm going to use my GM's Miscellany Dungeon Dressing book, because that is going to give me some tables to roll on. It's dressing for the door, but maybe we can turn it into narrative. We'll see. So we're going to go to the door table and roll up to see. We did a search, and it was, all right, let's see. What did we see about this door? 45. Someone has shoved rags under the door to block up the large crack between the door and the floor. All right. I don't know if that tells us anything or not, but that's what we found. And now we're going to move on to the next room here. And in this room, we discover, ooh, there's a magic pool. There is definitely a hard lock here in this door. This looks like something, a chest or something we could maybe search. There's a pile of skeletons here. We could see what that's all about. But we need to place this pool down here, and we're going to roll for movement, and we got a 4, so we can advance 1, 2, 3, 4 into this room here, and we need to come around here. I think I've lost track where we are. We're going to move 3 forward, 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to do Wandering Monster roll, which will be your green die, and we're going to see a Wandering Monster on a roll of a 1 or a 2. So no Wandering Monster. We can continue along. That was a 1. If we roll 1 for movement, that's going to be an encounter of some sort, and it will trigger an automatic Wandering Monster roll. No Wandering Monster yet, so we're going to continue along, and I'm sort of trying to keep track here, doing a Wandering Monster, and this brings us to, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the locked door. So we're going to explicitly have a locked door here. We don't need to roll to see if it's locked, and once again, we will attempt to pick that lock using subterfuge and dexterity, and we will go with our rogue that has the thieves tools. And well, you know what, somebody's got the lock pick, actually. I think we'll go with the rogue here. So the rogue is going to add a modifier of 6 to the roll, and once again the DC is 15, so we need a 16 or greater, and a 9 and a 6 is a 15. But in this game you must exceed the DC, not just meet it. So that is a fail. So the halfling rogue has failed to do it. We can try again with our dwarven fighter, and the dwarven, well, let's try with the gnome illusionist, I think, is the next up. Subterfuge and dexterity, that's going to be a 5 and a 1 plus 6 modifier here for our gnome, to an 11, and that is going to beat the DC of 15. So the gnome is going to break in to the lock, and we can move into this room. And as we move into the room, we're going to do a roll to see if there is a monster in there, and there is. So we need to now see who is in this room, perhaps guarding this magical pool, which we're going to try to get to, and whatever is in the chest there. And to do that, I'm going to go to the Microlight 20 monster list, and I don't know that I randomized these. I did not. Okay, I have reoriented things here to give a better sense of what's going on. We are approaching this room, and there's going to be some type of enemy in here. I'll show you how we get that in a second. We want to get in here. We want to search this chest. We want to look at this magic pool, and ultimately we want to see what we can get. So I took the monster list that I have in this little booklet, and I randomized it to more or less a D66 table, only taking monsters from it that I felt a party of 3 could handle, because this list has everything from like a rat to a hill giant with well over 100 HP. So it's not a complete list, but it is one of things that I would think could possibly be in a dungeon. So we're going to roll a D66 here as best I can show you, and we will read that blue and black, and we get a 34. So 34 into this room, it is, ooh, it's a hellhound. That's one of the harder ones that I left in here. It's got 4 hit dice, an HP of 22, AC of 16. It has a bite plus 5, and that's pretty rough in terms of damage. And it also could do 1d8 plus 1d6 of fire damage, and I think that parentheses is possibly its if it does a critical. So there's something valuable in here. It's there's a hellhound guarding this chest, so we're gonna have some combat. Now let me just pull back a little bit to give you a show of the die rolling here. So the first thing that we're going to do for combat is we're going to be rolling 2d6s to see if someone is surprised. If either of us rolls a 1 or 2, it means we're surprised and the other side is going to go first. So I should have said they are black, we are blue. So we actually surprise this hellhound. That's great. We get to go first, and then we're going to take our d20s and roll for initiative. And to do that, we will be taking our roll, adding our dexterity value, and from high to low is the order in which we will go. And so we've got a 16 and an 11 and then a 2. I don't even really need to add the values to know that we're going to start off with a gnome. That's good. He's going to try to cast a spell, move to the fighter, and follow up with the halfling rogue. That's not the ideal order for me. The ideal order would have been gnome, halfling, and fighter, and I'll explain why as we get into combat. Combat is pretty basic. We will be adding various bonuses to either the spell we try to cast or the attack we try to do, and we need to beat the AC of the enemy. And again, in this case, this hellhound has an AC of 16, meaning we need to come up with a 17 or more on our final roll. Now that's pretty rough. That's pretty high. It's a difficult enemy, but we're going to do what we can. Starting off with our gnome illusionist. Now he has a a 6 here. He's got his 6 health, and for his option, he could try to cast color spray to incapacitate a creature, meaning that would give us another round of action. I think that's what he's going to try to do, but he's going to take a 3 HP hit to do that, regardless of whether the spell is successful or not. The AC for him casting is 15, so he's got to beat that. And to do the casting, he's going to add a modifier of 5 to his roll. So let's see, can our gnome incapacitate this hellhound for a round? And he definitely cannot. So that was unfortunately a wasted effort. It might have been a better choice for the gnome to opt to try to give aid. And this is why I originally said I would wanted the rogue to be second before the fighter. You can choose to have a character aid another character before that second character does any die rolling. And in order to have that happen, you are rolling your attack value versus an AC of 10. And if you're successful, you can then give to your companion a +2 to their attack or a +2 to their AC for the next round. Now, had I tried to do that with a gnome illusionist, that would have been great. I didn't, so that didn't happen. So the gnome has gone, and now it is up to the fighter. The fighter has potential to do a lot of damage here. He has a special ability, which is because his overall attack modifier is above 6, in his case it's a 7, he gets to do a second attack right after the first with a +2 modifier. So he could potentially do 2 rounds of damage. He also, as a fighter, gets a +1 on any successful damage that he does do. However, the first thing he has to do is to get a success in his attack. So we again are looking for, it's an AC of 17, or excuse me, it's an AC of 16. We're looking for a 17, and this is not going to do it. So he flails around with his, I guess they're really scared of this hellhound. He flails around with his great axe, and that is a fail. And because it is a fail, he doesn't get the second chance. I think he only gets the second opportunity if he's successful on the first, I think. And finally, we have our halfling rogue coming in. Our rogue doesn't have the greatest of benefits. He's got a +4 to his attack with his throwing axe. It only does 1d6 worth of damage, but maybe he'll roll well. We're not rolling well here. as you can see. He's got a 15 plus 4 is a 19, so he did it. So he's going to roll for his damage, which is, ooh, he rolled a 6. Okay, he rolled a 6, and let me refresh my memory. Is there any defense with this Hellhound? No, there is not. So the Hellhound with 22 HP is going to lose 6 HP, and I'm going to keep track of that off camera. So at least we got him down to 16 health. Now, it's the Hellhound's turn to attack, and in order to determine who he's going to snarl at and try to bite, I'm going to roll this D3. I rolled a 1, and a 1 is going to be the fighter. So that's the fighter, who I don't actually think he has our highest AC, but he's got an AC of 15, and the Hellhound is rolling with a +4 to his roll. So we will, let's hope for some bad rolling on his part. And of course not. Of course. So he lashes out, and he bites our Dwarven fighter for 5 points of damage, and the Dwarven fighter is right off the bat here losing health. He's down to 6 HP. I will say the way this works in this game, if your HP goes to 0, you are not dead. You are sort of quote-unquote unconscious, and you will be losing then points off of your strength. If your strength goes to 0, then you are out of the game and dead. You can regain HP and such by resting, but you can't rest obviously in the middle of a combat. So that was really bad, and now it is back to us. So we're going to roll to see what order we're going to take here on our side. And we are going to, definitely the fighter's going to go first. Again, not great, because I don't think, I mean, there's no specific thing about giving aid. Says you can give aid before the roll is made. I mean, I don't know whether I can give aid from a character that has a lower initiative is the question really here. I'm going to say no for now, but maybe that is wrong. We're just going to keep at this for the moment and hope for the best. So our Dwarven fighter is, and I'll say even with the modifiers, this is the right initiative order. The Dwarven fighter is rolling again with a +7 value. So let's hope for something better here, and that is a colossal fail. This is just not going our way, although I suppose it's good that I didn't waste giving aid, because that was a critical miss. I don't think there's a rule for a critical miss, but that was a critical miss. So our fighter is out of it. It's over to our halfling at a +4. See what he can. Oh my God. This is so bad. This is how you know I'm not fudging these rolls, because this is terrible. All right. It's very super bad. And over to, I haven't had a lot of luck casting spells here, so I'm not going to try that. I'm just going to try an attack here with my staff, which for the gnome, it's a +1. Maybe we'll roll high. Who knows? We rolled a 10. All right, so total miss on our side. Over to the Hellhound. It's coming back with a 5. That's a miss on his side as well. And this is going to continue on. And I'm just hoping for it to come up with one big thing. All right, here's something. Let's see what we can get done here. Whoops, that was a 3. Doesn't really matter. All right, so we are going to have our halfling rogue aid our fighter, meaning the halfling rogue is going to roll their attack versus an AC of 10, and in this case, they're going to be using their +4 versus an AC of 10, first of all, to see if they can give aid. So, oh God, you guys, this is unreal. This is, I don't know whether this is compelling video watching. I'm telling you right now, it's not compelling video making. This Hellhound is just really causing havoc. So, all right, moving on. The fighter is getting a little annoyed as well, and rolls up. You guys, seriously, that was the roll. It was off camera. That was the roll. Have you ever seen somebody roll so many 1s in a row? I feel like I should just give up this entire video at this point. Like, I'm not even kidding. Okay. Wow. All right, there's a 16. I don't even know who this is anymore. This is the gnome. I didn't say he was casting a spell. 16 plus his, he has no strength benefits, so that is also that's also a miss. That's also a miss because he has no benefit. If it had been a spell, it would have been a success, but I didn't say it was a spell, so I was distracted. Anyway, all right, we're continuing. We're continuing on now. Well, another miss from our Hellhound, who is just, he's kind of laughing at us as we're flailing around doing nothing. And this is the initiative roll as a reminder. So we're going to have our gnome going first, and we're just rolling now for a second. The values don't really matter because I've dispensed with adding on anything. So we're starting out with the gnome. The gnome is going to give aid, so he's going to add +1 to this roll. We're looking for, all right, so he's going to give aid to ultimately the fighter when the fighter goes, but right up next is our halfling rolling at a +4. 10 plus 4, 14, that's another miss. And we're going to take a +2 off of it to this roll for the aid and hope to get a hit. So we got 13 plus 7, it would have been a hit anyway, plus the 2, we can't change now to add the AC. So we got a hit, and he is going to land another hit with his great axe, I think is it what he has here. And let's see, that is going to be, he's got, yes, the 1d10 great axe. Oh, I realized, you know what? I think I rolled a d6 for damage. I have to go back and look at that. I think I rolled a d6 for damage last time, not a d10. My mistake. So he does 8 points of damage, and the Hellhound is down miraculously to 8 points of damage. I'm going to give the Hellhound one more opportunity and then do the rest of this combat off camera so that this video isn't so super long. That's a miss. All right, let's just do one more. Let's see if we can get rid of him now, because I'm sure I didn't do that roll correctly. We've got the halfling, we've got the gnome, and we've got our fighter. The halfling and the gnome are both going to give aid because I really want the fighter to excel here, and this is just a tough thing to beat. So we'll go first with our halfling at a +4. That's a 14 over 10, so he's going to give aid. That's going to be a +2 to the fighter, and whoops, and now the gnome is going to give aid. That's going to be a 5 plus his 1. That's going to be a miss. So once again, we're going to get a +2 plus 7. We're going to get +9 to this roll, and that's a 6 plus 9 is a 15. And I realized something just now. That's a miss, by the way. So this whole thing didn't happen. I mean, this whole thing resulted in no attack. However, I realized that before, when I had the success, I didn't do my second roll at a +2. So I'm going to do that now. And that is a 15. +2 is 16, 17. And believe it or not, that second attack from the round before was a success, and I'm not going to forget to roll my d10. So I'm going to roll my d10 for that, and ooh, another 8. This is the power of dice. He had 8 health left, and he's dead. We got rid of the Hellhound. Sorry, it was a little confusing. I'm trying to straighten that out in my editing, so I point out my errors, but I think it all worked out in the end. We dispensed with this darn Hellhound who was guarding this treasure chest, and we're going to get to take a look inside this treasure chest. But first, we're going to check out what is in that magic pool. It's not all great. We're going to roll a d12 to see what's in the magic pool. Here's our d12, nicely water themed, and what is in there? It has no noticeable effect. It says GM decides. Well, as the GM, I have to say, it's disappointing. We did all that work and there's nothing there. But we have a magical treasure chest, and I need to find this card deck does not come with any treasure items, I don't think. Let's see what we got here. We have quest items. We have minor carried treasure. We could get some gold pieces, I suppose. But you know what? I want a thing. I want a thing. So I'm going to go to my little library and find a table to roll on to give me something. in this treasure chest. All right, for my treasure roll, I'm going to go to my Hack and Slash Compendium. This is the Blog Collection 2, and this I know has a whole bunch of cool treasure tables in it. This is a D100 minor magical item. So we're going to say that we're going to open this chest. I think that's reasonable. It's going to be magical but minor. So we will open the chest. There's no indication that it's locked or anything. And let's see what is inside it. Ooh, a 98. Let's hope that is a good roll. 98. We open it up and we see a metal eye mask. Wearing this mask obscures your normal vision, but allows you to see from above, like an orbital satellite. At sea level, you can see an area 200 feet in diameter centered on the mask. Well, I'll have to modify this to say that it will allow for, say, an automatic search and find something in a room, one-time use only. So that's what we will say, and we'll say that it gives an automatic success, so it doesn't really matter who's carrying it. I will give it to I feel like I should give it to the fighter because he's the one that got rid of that hellhound. So we'll give that magical item to the fighter. It is the metal eye mask, and it allows for an automatic search and find something in a room. And now we need to backtrack basically to go another way because we've done everything we can here and there's no other exit. So we're going to have to move. We're going to do my D6 movement. I'll try to sort of speed this up a little bit by rolling in a row to see how far we can get. And I think I said every 6 times of movement, I'm going to roll for a wandering monster. So we'll just do it this way. We rolled 6, 7, 18. So we were all the way over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 18. The party right now is here. And in 2 more rolls, I got to do a wandering monster roll. Ooh, we rolled 10. Can we get there? 1, 2, 3, 9. We're right here at this door. It does not appear to be locked. 10. So where the party is here, but we do need to do a wandering monster roll. We're in a corridor here. And as a reminder, the wandering monster is going to appear on a 1 or a 2. I'll use this die for that. And no wandering monster. So we are going to get to move to another area of our dungeon. And we are, well, it's another area with nothing, no exit, but it has some treasure here. It is D8 plus dungeon level. Well, we're dungeon level 1. It's a locked area, and we will place the card here. We certainly want to try to go through it. We have to approach that door though, so we do need to do a movement roll. The party gets to the door, and we need to try to unlock the door. So let's see, who's going to attempt that? And our halfling rogue is going to make the attempt at picking the lock, which is going to be subterfuge 3 plus dexterity is a +6, and we got a 15 difficulty. So we're rolling a 6, +6 to the roll, and we got a 5 plus 6 is 11. That's a fail. So he has taken his action, and we will have the gnome illusionist try the same thing. He gets a 6. Also, he gets a +6 to his attempt at this lockpicking, and that is a success. So the gnome is going to get us into the room. That was 2 more actions plus 3. So still keeping track. We're going to walk into the room, and we will do a party movement of a 4. So we're going to be standing in the room 1, 2, 3, 4. We're right here. We're not yet at the treasure, and we will have another, that was a 1 movement. Now, when we do a 1 movement, again, these are my house rules, but when we do a 1 movement, even if we're not at the ticking of the time in 6, which we will be next turn, we need to roll for a wandering monster. So on a 1 or 2, before we get there, it's going to appear. It does not, but we do have to approach this treasure, and that is a 6 move. So once again, check for wandering monster. Just as we get to the treasure. something appears. Something appears. And it's going to be a D66 again. Blue and black. 64. I know what that is. That's a zombie. That is a zombie coming at us. And it's got, it's only rolling two hit dice, but it's got 16 HP, an AC of 11. It does +2 damage. And that's what it is. Did we surprise it? Let's see. I hope we can get rid of this thing a little faster. So on a 1 or 2, we're surprised. Again, they are black, we are blue. Whoops. We are surprised by this zombie. Even though we're approaching it, we're surprised. So the zombie is going to act first. And we will see first off, who is the zombie going to attack? The zombie is going to go right for the fighter. And the zombie is going to go right for the fighter. Our fighter has an AC of 15. And the zombie is rolling. It's going to get a +2 to its roll. So we're stronger than this thing. We're stronger than this thing. And it rolls a miss. So that's lucky for us. Hopefully we can take this thing out pretty quickly and get to that treasure. So we're going to see in what order we go. Ooh, we rolled a 20. Too bad. It's not going to help us. It's just an initiative roll, but we rolled a 20. So our halfling rogue is going to go first, followed by our gnome, and then the fighter. I'm going to have, let's see, it's an AC of 11. I'm going to have our rogue take his throwing axe, and he's going to have a benefit of 4, a +4 to do his attack. +4, we're looking at a 14. Great. So we're going to chop at this zombie with our axe for 1d6 damage, only 1 damage. So his HP has gone to 15. And I need to make a note of this. And that was my rogue's turn. Up next is our gnome illusionist, and I'm really wary of him trying to cast a spell here. Let's see, a level 0 spell. The zombie is not. We're just gonna try to go for an attack with a melee attack with our sickle here, and so for that. We are getting a +1 value to our attack. Again, the AC is 11. Got to roll high. Nice. Whoops. Nice. We did. So we're going to be doing another 1d6 of damage. Let's hope we roll a little higher here. Woo! 6. Can you see that? Yes. 6 points of damage there, bringing him down to 8 HP. Potentially, our fighter could just kill him off here. As a reminder, we got a +7 on our roll here, 15, that's good. And we are going to roll a d10 for our damage, and I'm not going to forget about our second one. That is a 7. That is a 7. The zombie didn't really get a chance to do much. He's down to 1 HP. Our second roll is going to be at a +2. At a +2, 14, boom. He's got 1 health left, and we get him with our 5 attack. All right, so we're going to roll a d8 plus the level. Ooh, we rolled an 8 plus level 1. Oh, man, that is bad, actually. Oh, so frustrating. Well, I'm not going to move this. I'm going to put this up here. You can see we rolled a d8 plus a dungeon level. We rolled an 8 plus 1 is 9. It's a poison needle trap. Of course it is. Of course it is. Now, who's it going to get? I don't know. Let's see who it's going to get. We're going to roll I'll tell you what damage it does. I think we have that here. If not, I know that I have it in the microlight. So poison needle, poison darts, flame jets. We don't have the exact. All right, I have this in microlight. I will get that. Let's see who was reaching into this. This is bad. All right, someone's reaching in there. Who is it? Whoever is one. It's our fighter. All right, well, he's got the most HP, but our fighter is going to get the effect of this poison needle trap. And let me find out what the poison needle trap actually does. All right, so let me explain how the traps work. You can search for the trap to find it without triggering it, and the DC is given. So for this poison trap, the DC for doing that is a 20. So what we would do is a knowledge plus a mind check to see if we can find it without even triggering it. And we are going to try to do that. So we're going to walk back the Dwarven Fighter. He will be the one to get the attack if indeed it is an attack. We can't find it. But using our knowledge plus mind, let's see, does anyone have, who would that be? That's going to be our gnome illusionist. So our gnome illusionist can add a +7 to a search roll to just even find the trap without having it even be triggered. But the problem is it's the difficulty class of 20 on that. So we're going to need a really high roll because what did I say? We're adding a +7 to this roll, and 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Our gnome illusionist coming through. The gnome illusionist says, wait a minute. I see this trap. I know this trap. I find this trap, and it's not going to trigger. Now, there's a disabled difficulty class. I don't know if we need to also do that. The disabled DC for this one is 18. So we're not there yet because we want to disable it because we want to get to this. We want to get to this treasure. And per the card, it's really the treasure isn't treasure, it's a trap. But I'm going to say if we can disable it, if we want to do that, there's going to be more treasure because that's what I'm doing. So to disable, it's going to be a subterfuge plus dexterity roll. And that's going to be, I think the rogue is going to step up with a +6 on that. And well, either the gnome or the rogue could do it. We will let the rogue give it a whirl. It's going to be a +6 on this, but again, it's got to be the difficulty of this is going to be 18. So we need a good roll. We got a bad roll. All right. So the rogue was unable to disable it, and I suppose we can try with the gnome illusionist if we want. Why not? It's my game. I'm going to try. Probably need to do a wandering monster roll here. We still have we're making some noise, that is to say. We still have the +6 roll. That's a 2. That's a fail. And they're not going to get to try again. It's up to the fighter if he wants to try. This is not his thing, but he could try with a +1. If he rolls a 19, it's an 18 or a 19, it's a done deal. So he doesn't. So they found the trap. Nobody's getting damaged. They can't disarm it. They're going to have to leave it. They're going to have to leave this treasure behind and exit the room and continue to make their way through this dungeon. We've only gotten through 3 cards. I thought I was making a small dungeon, but there's more to do than I realized. So I don't know. I feel concerned about the length of the video. I'm going to, I think, end the dungeon crawl part right now and instead talk about how I would develop the rest of it. One key thing being that the metal eye mask, which would allow the search and find, if we remember back to the very beginning of the video, our quest that we were doing had to do with finding this person. And so, in fact, we needed to kill this evil NPC, and the evil NPC was going to be hiding behind a locked door at the last room. One could say that this metal eye mask, which allows for the automatic search and find, could be saved and used if we made it to the last room to fulfill the quest, at least in terms of finding that NPC. We would still need to kill them. As you can see, the cards here, and I am going to look through and show you at least a couple more of the cards. So we'll look at the rest of what we would have encountered here, because I want to talk about these cards a little bit more. Here's another trap area. This probably would have been placed here. The S is a secret door, so we could have done a search for the secret door that would have allowed us, if we found it, to bypass this trap. And in the next room, we have some named monsters that we would have rolled on to find out what they were. Again, it's a D6 roll plus the PC level. So we would have, it's a way of ratcheting up the difficulty. In this particular case, we're given choices of what they might be, so I could refer back to my own list of monsters in the microlight system that I'm using. Again, this is keyed to 5th edition, so you could simply refer back to the 5th edition bestiary if you were following that. I added in the fact that when something was pictured, I actually made it be a thing there. So I have my table ready to go if we encountered a table, and there's one here that we could have either, I would have used it, I think, to possibly hide behind if there was a monster there, to give some kind of benefit to a hide roll, which the rule set that I'm using does have mechanics for hiding rather than doing combat. In our next card here, we have another scenario. This looks like a very bad pit situation. We have monsters here that you're fighting. You could choose to also make there be some kind of impact if you stepped off of this narrow thing, falling into the dark pit, or perhaps just outright dying. And then here is our final card with the quest goal and the stairs down to the next level if we wanted to go down a level and continue on our journey. Now, in the microlight system, which is what I was using to make my characters and to do the combat and the searching and everything else, there are leveling up rules, of course, so I could have used those to give my characters more experience and gone through the mechanics of that, and then continued with them with the more experience once they gained it, going down another level here in this dungeon using these cards. So really, it's hard to say enough good things about Axbane's Deck of Many Dungeons. It is indeed packed with random tables, illustrated in full color. It says this deck can generate over 1 million different dungeons. It is so easy to mesh this with, well, I did the example of microlight. The thing that I really want to use it with is 4 Against Darkness, because I think that would be perfect in so many ways. And as you saw, I just got through in this video these basic 3-4 cards for the 7-card dungeon I was going to do. I really ran out of time. And here we have the whole deck. The basic deck comes with 54 cards. I also have there's an Elven Ruins expansion, which adds a few cards as well. But even with just the 54 cards, there's so much here. And as I said, I'm going to refrain from showing you the cards, but you can imagine that if you made yourself even a 6-card dungeon or a 7-card or even a 10-card dungeon, you would have 5+ totally brand new games to play with whatever system you're using, with just the number of cards that you have in the base box. And you can choose, as I did, to embellish what is here, to actually determine what those chairs are. I use the dungeon dressing guide. I mean, there's so many ancillary things that you could do to use this as the basis for building on to what is there, creating search opportunities, creating story and narrative opportunities to be coming in as you develop themes from the things that you find. I could see these being just used with so many different kinds of supplements. So personally, I think what I'm going to do next is to use them with 4 Against Darkness off camera. But microlight is awesome for this. And let me know in the comments if you want a separate video on microlight 20. I thought I had covered it, but I realize now that I did not just cover that system. It's a great one for soloists on its own. And overall, I can't recommend the Deck of Many Dungeons in any higher way than saying it's practically like a must-buy for the solo RPGer who wants to do dungeon crawls.